Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health longevity, and today we're going to talk about, to date, still one of my scariest topics and the things that I am more concerned about because it's the one of the few things that's really out of my control. And as much as I scream from the mountaintops to stop using plastics, it's everywhere. From people buying cases of plastic water bottles at Costco to everything. So the thing we don't always think about, there's general exposures that drinking out of plastic water bottles, using plastic utensils, it's everywhere. It's in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. But generally, when you look at microplastic, we can look at different sizes. The 200 to 200 nanometer or micrometer range, nanometer range, generally doesn't get absorbed well in the lungs. However, the smaller portions, like 1 to 10 nanometers, actually does pass through the lung barrier and can actually get absorbed. So those can actually be more dangerous. And even if the cilia in our lungs do happen to scrape them up, it turns out that we have a tendency to just swallow them and absorb them anyway. So these are definitely the smaller compounds are ones we also need to keep an eye out for. And this was an interesting study looking at indoor air, smaller study, indoor air, and they looked at two different vehicles. I believe the study was done out of Sweden, but somewhere in Europe, and two different cars, one old, one new, because new car, we all know that new car smell is not good, and it comes from all the plastics and everything that is that are present in our dashboards and everything else, and in lots of things. But one of the things I always talk about is we need to roll down our windows, especially if the car's been sitting for a while. We're here in Phoenix, inside of your car's been baking. People tend to just turn on the air conditioning and don't ever roll down the windows. Hopefully this study will make you rethink that. They looked at indoor air, which has its own... we've got air filters in all of our rooms in the house. They're constantly running. Certainly HEPA filters on the air conditioning unit, but those aren't running 24/7 versus the small room air cleaners that we have. So they looked for indoor air for these very small microplastic particles, and the average was 528 microparticles per cubic meter. That may or may not mean a lot to you, but the cars, and they measured them on same car 5 times, 2 different cars, 5 different trips, and it was 2238 microplastics per cubic meter. It's 4 times the amount of microplastics in your car. And that's just most of our cars made up of stuff that's going to emit microplastics or PFAS or Teflon, stain resistant, DuPont, just a chemical mess. So make sure, first of all, you can always make sure you're cleaning your cabin air filter often, but roll down the windows when you first get in the car. Let some of those microplastics out and some fresh air in. Maybe consider doing, if you're on a longer car drive, maybe consider doing that every so often just to get those microplastics out and get out some relatively fresh air in the car cockpit. So, as always, I will post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.